our webinar today is focused on accessibility in tourism. Now, we know that accessibility in tourism is a major challenge, which can limit the access and enjoyment of amenities for persons facing barriers. Now, increasing access equitability results in increased social and economic inclusion, elevating the quality of services and experiences offered in the tourism sector. Now, this webinar will highlight some of the challenges and the barriers individuals with specific limitations may face in the tourism industry. We will also highlight some Saskatchewan projects that focus on increasing accessibility for all, and they will share their tales of inspiring reasons behind these changes that extend much further than the bottom line. So today, we have quite a number of panelists with us. We have Kelly Fiddler, Kyla Bovier, I hope I'm pronouncing that Kyla correctly, and Lorraine Foster. Now let's start with Kelly. And so Kelly Fiddler is from the Waterhen Lake First Nation. Kelly has over 23 years experience in economic development. Kelly has proudly worked at the Saskatchewan Indian Equity Foundation, Federation of Saskatchewan Indian Nations, and within the provincial government within numerous ministries such as Economic and Enterprise Saskatchewan. Kelly is currently undertaking the Masters in Business Administration at the Cape Breton University and works with the Mosquito Economic Development Corporation. Kelly also sits on the board of the Indigenous Tourism Association of Canada as the Saskatchewan representative and is the co-chair of the recently created Indigenous Destination Saskatchewan. Kelly is going to be sharing his experience as a person with disability accessing resources in the tourism and hospitality industry. Now it's over to you, Kelly.
Okay, thank you. Just give me a minute here. Okay, everything up there?
Kelly.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the warm welcome, and I'm glad to see everybody here to take your time out to learn about accessibility. So as you can see, currently I am the project manager for the Henry Beaudry Art Gallery. So this is a new project that's coming up out of Mosquito First Nation, so just south of North Balford, about 5 minutes out. And what I'm doing there is we're building an art gallery in the elder Henry Beaudry's name, and to commemorate his war efforts in World War II, as well as we have about 1,900 original art paintings that we're going to be showing in the gallery. So that's coming up. We're going through construction right now, and that's coming up probably, I'm thinking about the fall of next year. So we haven't broken ground. We're just doing all the planning on that. I've worked in various areas for various First Nations. Recently with Muscatine Economic Development, we did a solar farm project there and a new gas station, working with the Economic Development Corporation there, and also within my own First Nation, Waterhen Lake First Nation, setting up the corporation and getting, all our we actually have 3 good businesses with the store and forestry, harvesting and hauling company that we have over there, as well as M&N. Well, I can't remember. They just recently changed the name of the resort there, but that's in the Meadow Lake Provincial Park where I did a feasibility study and we were working on some expansion and upgrades within the resort there. So I am from the Edwards School of Business where I had got my commerce degree and arts degree as well at the U of S, and then now I'm working on my MBA right now. So as you could see, a father and husband. I was a coach for a long time, so coaching hockey and ball for my kids for probably 20 years before the Kennedy's diseases, which I have, and before that kicked in. So I was pretty independent. I think that's something I really miss is just being at the rink and at the on the ball diamonds coaching and seeing the kids and seeing the kids grow as an athlete and as a young person. One other thing I want to mention is just in terms of when you're looking at people with disabilities, there's not a one fit solution to everything. You're looking at wheelchair users, you're looking at limited mobility, which is some might be just using a cane. There's different levels of mobility, and sometimes they might not even be using a cane, so that's it's hidden and you can't see. Hearing loss, low vision, blind, intellectual disabilities, little people, could be temporary, athlete, injury or accident, car accidents, just from the normal aging process, growing old. It's there's a lot of different scenarios, and there's, like I said, there's not a one, a solution for all, but we have to. I am going to be offering different types of solutions throughout this presentation. So Kennedy's, it's in that MS ALS family. It's a longer term thing, so it's a very gradual deterioration of the muscles. So muscle weakness, all muscles, my throat, arms, legs, tongue, you name it. So all muscles really are affected, so and just one of the the things I didn't realize anything was an issue until maybe in my 30s. I was starting to think I was just out of shape, and so I'm walking around Disney World, and if you've been there or Vegas, you know how much walking there is, right? And after a couple of days, I kept, like I was wondering, what's wrong? Like I was really losing my my walking ability. I was getting really tired, and finally I got home and I asked around, I asked some family, and they said, yeah, this is what your uncle has. And I didn't really realize it, but anyway, so that was kind of my, kind of how it really set in, to learn. And it was it's more of a slower thing that happens. So, it gave me a lot of time to learn and think and accommodate myself, and so as I go through this muscle disorder, I start to use different things within this presentation. But it's a mindset, so I want you to think about, if you have family members or coworkers, or just when you see people out there, or even especially like when it comes to elders or your grandparents, their mentality of this thing is, when it's coming, I think there's a lot of anxiety in the community with people with disabilities, and not knowing whether places are accessible. I want to go to the library. Well, what if there's stairs? And one of the solutions is just making sure you have a disability page that shows all the ways you are accessible, like that there's a ramp going into your place, or just um, showing that people with disabilities are participating in your business, or your, in being able to get to your building. One thing I thought of was my friend, who runs dog sleds. And he was showing, when I first met him about 4 years ago, he was showing me a dog sled, and all the people, yeah, this is what I do. And I looked at his sled, I said, I could never do that, because where it is, you're lying down, and there's no way for me it would be really hard for me to get up. About a year later, he goes, Kelly, I made this new sled. You could sit up, and like it's kind of like a chair in the dog sled. And he was showing me, and man, these sleds, they all go like crazy now. Like everybody loves them, and people I know with disabilities are just love going on these sled rides, So I should have grabbed a picture, but so it's just the thought of doing something different within your business, so that you can accommodate and include people with disabilities. So, but if I see that on a website, I would be like, okay, I'm looking, I want to try this out now. Um, but, so when it sets in, you don't know anything about, well, how is this disability going to affect me going to work, going out to the restaurant, and there's many times where I've had circumstances where someone has booked a restaurant for a team meeting, and I get there, all of a sudden there's a flight of stairs with nowhere to get up those stairs, So there's like so many things when you don't have a disability, you don't think of these things when you're going out and doing, going out and about. And so hopefully from this presentation, you'll start learning and being able to implement some solutions. And that's what it is. It's really just learning. Get in a wheelchair, see if you can fit in the bathroom, or what are the issues, like see if you can get in your building, that sort of thing, We're a little behind, so I'm gonna kind of try and rush through a couple of these slides. And I want to make sure that you understand, like, this presentation could be for your family circumstances, it could be for your business as well, because there is that need, but also within the home to think of solutions. So one of the things I got is this I bought a scooter and I tried it out. I was actually in Vegas, and I wanted to go out, and I was thinking I had to taxi from hotel to hotel. And then, I seen a scooter rental, and I thought, well, I'm going to try it out and see. So I actually went with my daughter. She was playing NCAA hockey at the time, and she was in good shape, So I'm driving on a scooter all day, and after about 6 hours, she was like, Dad, let's go back. I'm getting tired, and I was ready to go. I was like, it wasn't the gambling, it was just being able to get out and just see things, and after that, I realized I got to get myself one of these things, because it really helped for myself. So this is a portable scooter that I have. It could fit in the back of your vehicle. This is a rental I had in, I don't know where, Florida or something, but the whole scooter comes apart, and then it goes in the back of your vehicle. So you still need somebody to lift it, but like each piece is around 20 to 30 pounds. A lot easier if you have somebody that can do that for you. I wouldn't be able to do it, but my wife, she's a small little lady. She helps me out a lot. So having that family member really helps a lot. I have a stair lift that I bought for my house, and I'll show it a little bit later. The other thing was when I was still walking, I was I should have got a disability pass right away, but I didn't. So one of the things that happened, I was out at the Sask place and they had to park me way the heck far away. I think it was Memorial Cup or something we were hosting. And I was really struggling after a couple of days. And then, so I'm walking to to my Jeep and it was too far and about 50 meters away, my legs just buckled and I sprained my ankle. I needed to be helped up. Somebody had to help me up. So, but that was because I didn't think that I should go get this disability pass, and, at the time, but, after that, I realized, hey, I gotta get this thing. I gotta make sure I accommodate myself and, so that's the, kind of things you have to do, having, making sure you have really good shoes, especially with our winters, right? And gets very icy, dressing warm. One thing I would recommend is having the person wear a belt all the time because that helps with lifting when you need to help. But the belt, one person can go on one side and on the other and just help you lift you up by your belt, So that really helps if you're ever in that circumstance or, recommendation. But always needing somebody there as an attendant too is really helpful for me. Just wanted to quickly talk about some of my worst experiences, and they're always with public washrooms because there's a rail doesn't make it accessible, it's like and most of these things are, there's a lot of different things, I guess. One thing that I'm seeing is we're needing always needing a separate washroom, like a family room. It could be a family. I'm starting to see the new buildings with their coding and, recommending a family disability washroom. That's awesome because, I need help from my wife sometimes in the bathroom and, I don't want to take her into the men's washroom, right? So, when you're thinking of these things, when you're building projects, it's really important to start thinking of that sort of thing. It could be the bathroom stalls are too small, the areas too close to there are so many things like too close to the wall, the bar height, like if you see the bar there, that's actually a little too tall, that bar, because it needs to be closer to the, to kind of the toilet seat height, because you're pushing down, right, to get yourself up. So you can't kind of lift yourself up. It's kind of weird, so there's just little things and, that making sure that the rails are the right size, but I like that. I kind of like those. So if you look at my scooter there, and how tall my scooter but the toilet is so low, right? Compared to the size of that scooter. So, one of the things I thought of is making sure that you have a tall toilet. A lot of the hotels or anybody, they just buy your average toilet, which is probably, I don't know how tall, 15, does it go by 15 inches, I think, 15 to 19. Well, the lower the 15 is really hard to get off. But as you order a larger toilet, like a 19 is probably the best. Try and get the tallest toilet you can, because that'll help out a lot. Because even I was talking to one of the ladies in a wheelchair, and that's the same issue as the toilets are always way too low to the ground. Even when it comes to the beds in your hotel rooms, some could be that wheelchair, like the height of the wheelchair seats. And some like me, mine is, I really need a taller bed because it's easier for me to stand up off that bed, so making sure they, what do you call it? Having the box spring in there, that sort of thing, or on bed rails, or, yeah, something like that. So it's a taller bed. So that works for me because, I do have my mobility, like I do walk around the house, but I can't walk around Walmart. That's too much walking. So when it comes to that I use my scooter when I'm out and about. Um, you know, I went to this one hotel in the States and, this is when my disability was just starting. And the hotel room was way at the end of the hallway, the disability room. And that was too much walking for me to walk all the way to the end of the hotel. So like just making sure you're close to the entrance and, that's just practical things, because it isn't about, sometimes it's kind of like running a marathon, making sure you can make it through the day and you don't want to tire yourself out, with some of the everyday stuff, and you want to enjoy things. Walking on sand is really tough. So making sure that maybe there's I was thinking like a rubber mat to get from the sand on, past the sand onto the dock or whatever, dock ramps, there can be different things, ramps are really, I'd recommend the ramps. Um, making sure parking, I've had disability spots that were really kind of far from the store. You want to be as close to the front doors as possible for that disability spot. And making sure the ramp is there too, like it's not a step to get into that anywhere. So these are the kind of things that I'm hoping that you could think about, using a lot of ramp and railings. I have some example. This is actually the bottom right is that's one of the Disney World boats. So you can actually get from the sidewalk onto the boat through that ramp there. And so you could actually do that with if you have a resort or anything, that would be a good thing to go from the dock into the boat. Or I guess it would be probably best if you had like a pontoon, I think, to do that, either walking or for me, I like to drive my scooter everywhere I go now. So it's just easier for me to sit on a scooter than anything else. I like to have like even in the bathrooms, the accessible bathrooms, having like a counter height stool, because you're always sitting to do anything like brushing your teeth. You're always sitting on something, you have to sit because the standing up takes too much energy, so little things like that would really help if you have like a disability room. Or for me, I got like stools almost in every major room that I spend time in, whether it's the bedroom, whether it's bathroom, kitchen, all the tables are high, that sort of thing. Walk-in showers is awesome. But making sure there's no bar there to get in the shower. And that's one of the issues that I see is, you're not using the bar to hold yourself up, but it's more just to make sure you don't fall because, when you're walking around water, right, it gets slippery. So, that's an issue there, is just making sure there's bars to, to be able to, to to keep standing. Because you do lose balance sometimes, especially when you close your eyes, that sort of thing.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to now run over to, thank you so much. 'Cause time is against us and we have to get everyone in for the hour. We're going to run in over to Lorraine. And Lorraine Foster is the co-owner of Prairie's Edge Development Corporation, along with her husband, Zenon. Lorraine and Zenon opened Humboldt Veterinary Services and operated a large animal consulting business, then transitioned into land development over 15 years ago and haven't looked back. Lorraine and Prairie's Edge Development has won numerous awards, including various ABEX awards for marketing, community involvement, and young entrepreneurship of the year. Mark of Excellence Awards and was named one of the Saskatchewan Future 40. Family is extremely important to Lorraine, which is why she strives to create family-friendly lake communities. Lorraine loves to spend time with her husband and children, supporting other small businesses in Saskatchewan and experiencing outdoor adventures. Now, Lorraine will be sharing with us her experience in making her operation more accessible friendly and telling us really what motivated her. Over to you, Lorraine.
Thank you for that, Tamika. Don't think it's, there we go. Thank you for that introduction. I'm very pleased to be part of this group today and to have the opportunity to share some information about our experience with increasing accessibility at our lake development projects. This is my first webinar, so I appreciate consideration that some of this information hits close to home and maybe a little bit vulnerable in some areas. So what I'm going to talk about is who we are as a company, why tourism accessibility is important to our company, what the motivation is, both corporately and personally. And then I'm excited to share some photos of our past, current projects and ideas for the future to increase accessibility. And I'll end by sharing some of the resources that we've been fortunate enough to find access to maybe inspire you how you can look at your accessibility improvements within your organization. So as Tamika had alluded to, we have a recreational land development company. My husband and I have a non-traditional career pathway. We were both veterinarians. I diversified into land development in around 2007. And just recently, after 19 years, my husband has joined me on a full-time basis. So this allows us to put family first and focus on family and our family lake communities. So as we've evolved over the last 17 years, the need to focus and improve accessibility has really come to the forefront in our company. I have a personal connection to barriers to experiencing recreational enjoyment, both with loved ones who have acquired spinal cord injuries and unfortunately neurodegenerative conditions have affected our family. So I have firsthand seen how it doesn't only affect the individual, it affects the whole family when they can't join you in ways that you would like them to. So one quote that I really like is that one argument for accessibility that doesn't get made nearly often enough is how extraordinarily better it makes some people's lives. How many opportunities do we have to dramatically improve people's lives by just doing our job a little bit better? And that's a key point. We don't have to make dramatic changes. They don't have to be all at once. It's just first and foremost, recognizing that there is a need and then shifting our lens and seeing what we can do personally to improve in our business. So I can attest to everybody benefits when you design with accessibility in mind. Our lake developments have really evolved and there's no price you can put on seeing people being able to interact with their family and enjoy amenities that when barriers are not in front of them. So accessibility isn't just a checkbox. It's not just to do for the sake of doing. It's a mindset, and we found that it's really shifted our company and brought us all closer together. It's brought our team together. It's involved our students, our youth, summer crew to bring ideas forward, and it's been a very positive component of our operation. So we started land development. Our first project was on Lucian Lake near the village of Middle Lake. And that area is also home to Bethany Pioneer Village. There are 300 residents, and they were an exceptional inspiration for projects geared towards people with barriers. So they've had concrete walkways to access orchards and raised flower beds and raised vegetable gardens. They've done all kinds of improvements to local buildings for increasing accessibility with ramps and with automatic door openers, and even annual events that include all ages and abilities, like the annual walk and roll event that was part of that community. So the ideas were there, the inspiration was there, and I think what solidified it for us is when their recreational coordinator from Bethany contacted and said, could they bring their handy van over with residents to see our trout pond? And it made me think, well, is there room for the bus to park? Is the ground solid enough for the residents? And it inspired some of our summer crew to work with us to make those changes at our development. So fast forward to today, we've been working at Sunset Beach since for 5 years, since 2018. And I can truly say that accessibility has been top of mind throughout the whole process. And I'm really excited to share some pictures about some of the projects we have and what we're planning for the future. So being called Sunset Beach, accessing the beach is very important. The natural topography of the site out at Diefenbaker is that there's quite a drop off to get down to the waterfront. So we've constructed a ramp that allows access for those that would not otherwise be able to enjoy this area. So there's a bird's eye view of the ramp, and it's quite an extensive project, but it's not only helped individuals access the lake, it's also great for young people, old people, children, strollers, wagons. It's been really a positive addition. We also have a central park and playground that has play structures, picnic area, and components that are geared towards inclusivity. We definitely can focus on additional improvements. Right now we have some sign language and Braille panels, but this is an area where we plan to focus in the future and add an accessible restroom and additional amenities, perhaps swings that can be more inclusive. And there's a little free library within the Central Park, and we've taken into consideration the height, so people in wheelchairs or young people can access the books in the little free library. We have extensive trail systems throughout the development, and large portions of them are very level, and we're working on, sorry about that, making sure that the aggregate is hard packed, so that enhances accessibility. And we also have a lot of new benches, rest areas, waste receptacles, interpretive signage along the trail. We're adding a new trailhead kiosk that will have maps of all of the amenities on site that are geared towards accessibility. So that was a great point that Kelly brought up. I think we could add that also to our website to help individuals identify what may work for them. This year, we have added an all-terrain and beach chair to the site, and so that is available. It's safely stored near the trailhead, and just a call to let our on-site staff know that they would like to access this, and we're excited to see it get well used on site. We have an accessible washroom facility that's currently being constructed, and that will be located near the trailhead. So that's in process. And next year, we're building an accessible sport court that will be located probably in the Central Park. Needing more investigation on how we can optimize that. And yeah, the ideas are pretty much endless. It's been fun. There's a lot of aspects of development that are labor intensive, and being able to use creativity and get input from others. It's not only been good for the residents and their guests, but it's been good for us to get different ideas. Ideally, I would like to make an accessible accommodation. We have just ventured into tourism offerings at Sunset Beach this year, and also to align with other like-minded individuals to offer accessible experiences. So I'll end up with just sharing some ways that we've had success on adding some of these amenities to our projects. The first is to identify opportunities within your organization. There's a wealth of information online as far as Canadian requirements and standards, everything from ramp, slope, and distances to restroom design. There's a fantastic federal program called the Enabling Accessibility Fund, and it has funding for small and medium-sized projects and even a youth innovation component where businesses can work collaboratively with young people to integrate ideas into their offerings. And so that's kind of the overview. I'm very thankful for this opportunity, and I welcome any questions, whether it's now or after, by email. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. It does seem as if you have a lot going on presently and in the future, and I am excited to see the different aspects of the disability communities that you have taken into consideration. But we're not finished. We are running over to Kyla Bouvier. Now, Kyla is also an owner, a tourism operator. She is the owner and founder of Back to Nature Wellness and Adventures. She has a lifelong passion for the outdoors and promotes an inner journey in the outdoors. She has a passion for assisting others in cultivating self-awareness and connection with self in an outdoor experience. Her experience comes from working as a biologist for the past 20 years and spending time outdoors herself to gain awareness and increase her creativity. Kyla has been guiding participants on outdoor adventures for the past 4 years. She is a certified Paddle Canada instructor and has been trained as an outdoor field leader through the Outdoor Council of Canada and holds certification as a hiking, winter, overnight, and paddle field leader. Kyla is one of those operators that has just started to make her business accessible. And so we have just heard from Lorraine that has been doing that is as an advanced stage. And now Kyla that is beginning and will be sharing her story. Go ahead, Kyla.
Thanks, Tamika. Okay, so as Tamika mentioned, I'm the owner and founder of Back to Nature Wellness and Adventures. So we offer an inner journey in the outdoors. And so we offer guided outdoor wellness adventures to reconnect with your mind, body, and your soul. So our adventures include stand-up paddleboard experiences, which includes overnight trips. We have a glow stand-up paddleboard experience. We offer lessons, a full moon paddle, and river tours. And we also offer sauna experiences, retreats, and corporate and group adventures as well. So why accessibility for Back to Nature? So it's important to us to be inclusive because everybody desires time in nature for medicine and healing. So time in nature allows you to connect with your soul, and assists with healing on all levels. So, yeah, what did we need to be more accessible at Back to Nature? So we started with conducting research by engaging with the people that we knew who desired an outdoor experience, and then with what equipment they would need. So we consulted with Lisa Franks. She's a local resident in Saskatoon, and she gets around in a wheelchair, and she's an outdoor enthusiast. She's pictured here, one of her adaptive mountain bikes. And I ran into Lisa one day out at Rotary Park in Saskatoon. I was setting up the paddle boards, and she was in her camper van, which she lives in. And I asked her, what would it take to get her on a paddleboard? So she gave me a few tips and some of the equipment that she would need. And so this is the equipment that we did end up purchasing. So the first was an accessible paddleboard. So, this could be used for somebody that's either standing or sitting. And so we purchased the Red Paddle All Ride board, which was advertised and marketed as an accessible paddleboard by Paddle. So it's wider, it sits on the water a little bit higher. It's able to support 2 riders on it. So 2 people are able to be on the board at one time. So if somebody is needing some assistance while on the board, there's extra handles and supports as well on the board. So even if I'm needing to tow somebody or assist with them getting back on their board, there's those extra handles and supports. There's access from the back of the board for getting back on if someone were to fall off. Typically, you get on the board from the side. So this one you're able to get on from the back. So just a little bit more access with this board. And then we also acquired a supportive seat. So for anybody that is requiring to sit on the paddleboard, we have added the seat, and then possibly going to be adding some supports to the side as well. We have an adjustable paddle that's able to be a little bit shorter. So that's adjustable for someone if they need to sit down. And then also we've added these access tracks pictured here. So these access tracks, you're able to lay down on an uneven surface. So for example, sandy beach. So the one pictured here. So we purchased 5 of these access tracks, and you're able to use them like an accordion style. So you sort of are able to lay them out on the sand or an uneven surface. Someone in a wheelchair is able to wheel on them and then sort of accordion them down to where they need to go. So this summer, we are planning on piloting an accessible glow paddle experience. So this is a nighttime paddle, which allows participants to sit on their board or stand on the board with an LED light underwater to allow the board to glow from underneath. So this is one of my favorite experiences that we offer. It's really magical. And so this one I think is really important to offer to as many people as we can. I also do a guided meditation on the board as well. And then we lay on the board if you can to stargaze. So it's really a cool experience. So I'm going to be doing this experience with Lisa Franks on June 8th. She's going to come out. We're going to bring out all the equipment. We're going to try it out and then just get her feedback on any equipment we may need, some additional equipment, that sort of thing. So for the summer, we've added 1 spot per experience that we're offering out at Blackstrap and Echo Valley Provincial Park. all of this equipment was supported by Tourism Saskatchewan. So we did receive a grant through the Tourism Diversification Program just to assist with creating this accessible spot. So they supported us with the purchase of the paddleboard, the seat, the paddle, the access tracks, and the light. So so that was really great. And yeah, so I really appreciated listening to Kelly's webinar because I feel like this accessible spot is not just for someone with a physical disability, but also any mental challenges that someone may have. So we are always looking for feedback from people. So if you or someone is requiring more accessibility to get outdoors and enjoy an experience, with Back to Nature or anybody else, feel free to reach out to us. Let us know what you need. And we're going to try our best to try and become more accessible with all of our experiences. So thanks, follow along on our journey. We're going to be posting about it this summer, about all of our experiences. So if there's one that, you're wanting to join and you're unsure whether it's accessible, let us know and we'll try our best. And I appreciated Kelly even providing to add it to our website. So I think we'll probably add to our website the experiences that are accessible. Yeah, any questions, any feedback? Yeah, definitely appreciate that. So thanks.
Thanks so much, Kyla. You really got me when you spoke about the glow paddleboard. Like, I've never seen anything like that before. So that should be a winning factor to really, of interest for persons of, whether abled or disabled. There was one question that was placed in the chat. So if you do have your questions, we do have time. Please post those in the Q&A. And before we started, we had one question off the bat. So this could be posed to either Kyla or Lorraine. You can each take turns to answer this. Will there be any discussion of codes? Or I should say, is there any codes that you have to take into consideration that can be done for physical adjustments to building? Is there a building code that you have to take into consideration?
I can speak to our experience. I don't have the specific references in front of me, but there definitely are codes and standards. There's Canadian standards, national building codes. Our contractors worked closely with those guidelines for the beach access ramp at Sunset. And our current on-site crew is working to make sure everything for the new accessible restroom facility meets standards. So the nice thing is there's everything from complete diagrams and examples online. We did find some very fabulous material through the Enabling Accessibility Fund website, and I would suggest people check that out if they're interested.
Thanks so much, Lorraine. Kyla, do you have anything to add?
I don't, just because we don't have any buildings, in that sense, we are fully mobile. So any buildings are just currently on site that we may utilize, such as a bathroom at the provincial parks.
Okay. This is a question for you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kelly. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, I was just going to mention too that there are codes, I think, I can't remember, on the federal website, and I think there is a Canadian Accessibility Act that's coming out, and I don't know if it's been passed final, but it's been in the works for the last 10 years, and America has had it for a long time, and we're just kind of catching up. But to be honest, we're pretty good in Canada. I find that we're pretty good on accessibility regardless, and America's awesome. It's going to those other countries. So I think just, what I presented today, try and learn as much as you can, and And there are other accessibility programs that you can get to come take a look at and see what your needs are at your business. So you can get that assessment done. Can't remember off the top of my head, but because they're in Alberta right now, but I just, so not in Saskatchewan. So but anyway, yeah, so
Okay.
but
All
the
right.
point is just, just learn.
Yes, so do the research. I would say do the research. All right, I think this one is for you, Lorraine. Another question that you spoke about enabling accessibility fund. Are there any other funding options for large-scale events who are taking several steps for a more accessibility event? Any that you may know of?
I apologize, I don't know of specific event funding opportunities related to improving accessibility. However, if there's alignment or willingness of companies to work with local groups or nonprofit organizations, we have worked collaboratively with the Community Initiatives Fund. That's a provincial program. And so they do fund some programming that I just am not clear exactly on applicability to events, but it's definitely a resource that should be investigated because they support
Okay.
inclusivity programming.
And Kyla, you did mention about the diversification program. Can you just maybe talk about it for a minute or so? Because you went through that program. So I think that would be of interest to participants. How did that go for you?
Yeah, for sure. So this is actually the second time that I've used this program just to support my business with some of its growth in terms of, for me, purchasing equipment. And so this program, you apply to Tourism Saskatchewan. They usually have a few intakes throughout the year. So they just had an intake. I think it closed May 15th. They likely will have another one coming up this fall, winter, prior to the winter season. And so essentially you are required to support your business 30% up, 30%. Tourism Saskatchewan will support your business up to 70% or any sort of different percentages around that, but your business is required to help support 30% at least of what you're willing to create. So yeah, it's an application based, so it's on the website, and I'm sure Tamika, you can maybe share the link there.
Yes, definitely. I will share the link. Just one more question before we go. I'm not seeing any in the chat. I think this would be for either Kyla or Lorraine. You talk about in terms of starting your own business and that it started first intrinsically because you were motivated. Now, after you have the motivation, could you just give us a practical, like 1-2 step? What is it? Do you have to have a plan to show to an organization, government agency to say, this is what I am going to be doing? So after you have that motivation, what would be the next step?
I can just speak from our experience. The ideas for improvements that were smaller scale, so up to $10,000, a good fit is that youth project component. So it's alignment of a business with an individual under 30, like an ambassador. They are a youth ambassador for the initiative, and yes, they do require fairly detailed planning of what the improvement will be and how it fits into your organization. And then there's a follow-up and provision of photographs and that the actual project was completed. But it's not overly cumbersome and it's very well guided. So yeah, that would be the next steps.
Okay, go ahead, Kyla.
Yeah, so for us, since we already had our experiences planned, we are just taking some smaller steps in terms of, just starting out with one of our experiences, piloting that, and then I think we'll go from there to see how we're able to create some of our other experiences more accessible. This webinar already has me thinking about sauna, and how I'm able to create a sauna experience that is more accessible. So yeah, just small steps for us at a time.
Awesome. I like that. Go ahead,
If
Lorraine.
I can add one more thought, I think it's a fabulous group, and I'm very thankful to have all of us brought together, with us sort of having the foundation of a site with accessibility in mind, and experienced providers like Kyla that are going to bring those to life. But one major component that I've really realized is that I haven't done enough asking of individuals of what they need. I have ideas and some of my staff, but it would be very useful. So thank you for that, Kelly. It's really hit home how I need to be asking the individuals, what do you need? As opposed to just, this would be a good idea.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. That, I think, this is a positive note to end on in terms of, you're making the provisions, but it's also very important to incorporate persons with disability like Kelly and others, just to hear what is it that they need, because they are the ones that will be utilizing these, I would say, accessibility, in terms of facilities that you're offering. And we want to ensure that whatsoever you're offering, it is definitely accessible and inclusive. So again, just want to say thank you so much for sharing. A wealth of information was presented today, and I am truly happy to be able to host this today, along with Lorraine, Kyla, and Kelly. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm hearing that people definitely have really enjoyed the presentation, and quite a number of information was shared today.